Hello everyone, my name is Nova Fuqua, and today I'm presenting my literature review titled The Impact of Comorbidities on Autism Spectrum Disorder. This project explores how co-occurring conditions shape the presentation, diagnosis, and treatment of autism spectrum disorder. Let's dive into the key sections of my paper. Autism spectrum disorder, or ASD, is a neurodevelopmental condition characterized by challenges in social communication, interaction, and repetitive behaviors. What's interesting is how often ASD occurs with other conditions or comorbidities, such as ADHD, OCD, anxiety, and depression. These comorbidities complicate how autism is experienced by individuals and impacts diagnosis and management. My literature review examines this impact across different demographics, focusing on three key areas: how they present, the challenges in diagnosing them, and their implications for treatment. This is critical because understanding comorbidities can improve care and reduce stigma. My paper draws on recent peer-reviewed studies to highlight these dynamics. Let's start with an overview of ASD and comorbidity. ASD, as defined by the DSM-5 and ICD-11, involves persistent deficiency in social interaction and restricted repetitive behaviors. But here's a key point. Comorbidities are not the exception. They're actually more the norm. Conditions like anxiety, ADHD, and medical issues like epilepsy often coexist with autism, driven by shared neurological and environmental factors. These comorbidities make social functioning, emotional regulation, and daily living more challenging, while also complicating clinical and educational diagnosis and support. For example, a child with both autism and ADHD might struggle with both social cues and impulsivity, requiring tailored interventions. This theme sets the stage for understanding why autism rarely occurs alone and shapes how we should approach diagnosis and treatment. Comorbidities are typical in autism, and recognizing this is crucial for effective care. Let's look at the most common comorbidities in autism, which significantly alter its expression. Up to 50 to 70% of children with autism also have ADHD. Blending inattention and hyperactivity with ASD's social challenges, like disruptive classroom behavior. OCD affects 17 to 37% of individuals, with compulsive rituals such as repeated hand washing, often mistaken for autism's repetitive behaviors. Anxiety, which impacts about 30% of people with autism, shows up as worry over sensory issues and routine changes, evolving from outbursts in young kids to social fears with teens. Depression is seen in 20 to 40% of cases and grows with age, often appearing as irritability or withdrawal rather than sadness, especially in adolescents facing social isolation. These conditions are far more common in ASD than in the general population, highlighting the need for nuanced care. Again, as many as 50 to 70% of autistic children also have ADHD, which shows how prevalent these overlaps are. Next, we'll explore why diagnosing these conditions is so challenging. Diagnosing autism with comorbidities is complex because symptoms often overlap. For example, ADHD's inattention can look very similar to autism struggles with focus, making it hard to tell if a child's restlessness could be one condition or both. The DSM-5, which was updated in 2013, now allows for dual diagnoses of both autism and ADHD, but this wasn't always the case. Similarly, OCD's repetitive habits could be confused with ASD's routines unless clinicians consider the stress behind them. Anxiety and depression add more layers. Social avoidance might be mistaken for autism alone, but depression's withdrawal can mimic ASD's flat effect. Masking is a major issue, especially in individuals with lower support needs who might hide anxiety or depression to try to fit in, which can delay diagnosis. And studies have shown kids are often diagnosed with ADHD or anxiety years before autism is caught, if ever. This overlap causes delays, which underscores the need for careful clinical judgment. And let's see how this affects treatment. Comorbidities demand tailored treatment approaches for autism. Medication varies by symptoms. So stimulants that are typically prescribed for ADHD, like methylphenidate, can help in attention, but it can also worsen anxiety in some individuals with autism. Alpha-2 agonists, like guanfacine, are often better for managing impulsivity without affecting the stress as much. Treatments must be personalized. For example, ADHD with autism requires a different approach than ADHD alone due to the differences in social deficits. Therapies also need to adapt. Applied behavior analysis, or ABA, can be modified to target OCD's compulsions, and cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, can help with depression, but it needs to be adjusted for autism's communication style. Integrated care models, combining medication, therapy, and sensory-friendly environments, show promise. For example, a child with autism and anxiety might benefit from sensory accommodations alongside therapy. Personalized care is key to addressing these complex needs, linking research to real-world practice. Now, let's wrap this up with the key findings. This review shows that comorbidities affecting up to 70% of individuals with autism profoundly shape its presentation, diagnosis, and treatment. Conditions like ADHD, OCD, anxiety, and depression can all blend with autism's core features, which complicate care, but also highlights opportunities. Precise diagnosis and tailored treatments like adaptive therapies and integrated care are essential. These insights benefit everyone. Individuals diagnosed can gain more self-awareness, and families can understand treatment variability. Clinicians can refine strategies for identifying and diagnosing as well as treatment, and society reduces stigma through inclusive policies. Moving forward, we need better diagnostic tools and research into integrated interventions to support the ASD community. This complexity demands action to ensure individuals with autism can thrive. Thank you for listening.